We're back here on the program, Jones and Company, in our final segment of the program, and we are speaking with Mr. Chester Cooper today, the Member of Parliament for Exuma and Ragged Island. And Mr. Cooper, we have been monitoring your contributions in the Parliament of the Bahamas, and I must say that you've been doing a remarkable job as a freshman MP. When I listened to the debate, the various debates, I should say, in the Parliament with respect to financial matters, the Progressive Liberal Party government has been taking a beating over what has happened in the economy over the years and responsible for the state of the economy of the Bahamas. How do you respond?
Well, firstly, I've heard in the past 4 months some of the most reckless, nonsensical comments that I've ever heard from a Minister of Finance in the Bahamas. The Minister of Finance is more than a politician. The world listens to this individual and form an impression as to the credibility of our economy, the credibility of our record keeping, and the credibility of our people. So most of my pushback to much of what we hear with respect to the economy tries to refocus the minister in a direction that talks about economic growth, that talks about how we build a new Bahamas, that make the point that many of these issues are new. And as a new minister, he now has the opportunity to reshape the structure of our economy, an opportunity, I'm afraid, that will only last for 5 years before the F&M government is replaced. So rather than waste time talking foolishness, this is an opportunity to correct some of the issues that's been lingering. I also remind this government that the F&M is in their 4th term within the last 25, 30 years, and is responsible for many of the issues that face us with respect to the economy, with respect to social issues. So these aren't new problems, these aren't new issues, and we come to Parliament, we blame the former government, we talk about looking backwards for 5 years, and we never put in place the type of structural changes, the type of plans to move our country forward, the type of creative solutions to crime and other social ills, so that we can benefit from them 10, 15, 20 years from now.
So we have structural problems, protracted structural problems that developed decades ago.
Absolutely, no question about it. So we must look to see how we can build and grow our economy, even beyond tourism, how we can focus more attention on driving the tourism product, creating linkages, getting more from it. And we've had this discussion over and over and over again. And yet we see some of our competitors in our Caribbean neighborhood bypassing us because we spend too much time attacking each other rather than focusing on a long-term strategic plan for our economy, a long-term strategic plan for our country. It's been 5 months and I haven't heard yet any discussion as to where we're going to go with the draft National Development Plan, which, by the way, isn't a PLP plan, but a national plan created by the PLP with the input across the board. So we must take the debate to another level. And much of what we're hearing focuses on the past and seems like an excuse for not having a plan to move our country forward.
Mr. Cooper, you were in the financial services business. The journal ran a headline this week, meltdown in the financial services. As a participant in that industry, what is the future for financial services in the Bahamas?
Well, if we look at where we are now, and we looked at where we were 20 years ago, we've lost some ground. And this has been because of constant attacks from the international institutions
OECD.
like the OECD, et cetera. And we must not just blame them, we must also look to see whether we could have been and whether we still can be more proactive in anticipating some of the things that's coming down the pipeline so that we can create products and services that will keep us competitive. We must continue to innovate, not just in financial services, but throughout our economy in our country to keep our competitive edge as a country, as a jurisdiction for financial services. We are competing actively now with the United States of America, perhaps the largest proponent against offshore jurisdictions. So they're eating our lunch in some states in the U.S. at the moment. So we might sit here and say it's unfair practices and unfair tax by the big countries, but we must look to see how we can create an advantage for ourselves, rebranding our financial services center, becoming what they call a mid-shore financial services jurisdiction rather than an offshore financial services jurisdiction, looking at many of the things, like I mentioned before, that's going to be new. We look to see what our clients want and create strategic plans. The Bahamas Financial Services Board does a fairly good job in terms of looking at the future for financial services, but we do need some tweaks in regulations. We need more business-friendly practices in the Registrar General's office. We need perhaps more friendly policies with respect to financial services by the Immigration Department. The two must work hand in hand, and putting them together in one ministry is only the beginning of the process. There's work to be done, and there's heavy lifting to be done. The PLP did much of the heavy lifting in getting us where we are and creating the institutions and supporting some of the industries, but we must now look to the future. We haven't seen a new, vibrant industry in the Bahamas in quite some time. And it's partially because we need more talent generally in government. We need more talent in politics. And this is why I'm excited about the prospects of the PLP and the prospects of inviting new talent into the PLP to work along with the wisdom and knowledge and the talent that exists already.
But you see,
to help to move our Bahamas forward.
My view is that why should the financial services industry, the financial board, as you described, depend on the government? You should be leading the government. You should be innovative enough to show the government this is where the sector needs to go. If not, we're going to remain in the doldrums as we are now.
Well, they do a fairly decent job at projecting where we need to go. Only the government could put in place the framework and the legislation. The government must not just pay lip service to ease of doing business in the Bahamas, but must now implement some of the things that will cause entrepreneurship to thrive and financial services to do better, and the economy generally to have a better chance at creating more jobs and opportunities.
Before we run out of time, Mr. Cooper, the Prime Minister made a statement in the Parliament with respect to immigrants. He talked about the need for illegals to leave the Bahamas by the 31st of December, and he also warned Bahamians that they should not employ illegals beyond the 31st of December, or they would face consequences. What do you think of that particular statement of the Prime Minister, that ultimatum?
Firstly, immigration is one of these issues, again, where there's really been no strategic planning. I'm reminded of the days as a child of Loftus Roker doing similar roundups as the Prime Minister spoke about. There are issues over and beyond the roundups that we must look at that requires very serious attention. We have hundreds, perhaps thousands of Bahamians who refer to as stateless persons in our community. This is something we must look at as well with the same vigor, and we must determine what social impact is generally of these types of issues that persist, whether it has an impact on the levels of crime, socially deviant behavior, whether it impacts our healthcare system or educational system, and generally look at a holistic approach to immigration. What the Prime Minister said really was, we're going to enforce the laws of the Bahamas. This is what we expect that the government will do, but we want them to go a step further. We want them to articulate their policy and their plans for reform, reforming immigration policies, for example, so that it's forward-looking and so that we are embracing enough of the new people that come to the Bahamas, whilst at the same time protecting our borders vigorously.
Final question, Mr. Cooper. You're going to win. Well, is there anybody running against you at the moment? We're in the middle of October, and your convention is in about 10 days or so?
I haven't heard of another candidate who is contesting.
So you might very well become the deputy leader by acclamation?
Well, with God's help, I'll be the deputy leader, and I enjoy a lot of support inside the Progressive Liberal Party. So I forecast that I will be the next deputy leader of the PLP.
Who's going to be the next leader?
I suspect it will be Philip Brave Davis. In short order, we will know definitively. That's the beauty of the democratic process. But poll says that Davis is the favorite.
Okay. Do you have a favorite for chairman as well?
At the moment, there are many candidates in the race. I prefer not to disclose at this stage who I will in fact support. I'm still interviewing the candidates, if you will. But Glendon Roll is in the race, so is Alex Thor. Damian Gomez announced that he is going to participate. But you know, if you look beyond chairman, you will see a very interesting cadre of young people and a supporting cast who want to be deputy leader, a deputy chairman or vice chairman. We see Dr. Recia Hepburn, we see Robin Lyons, we see Obi Roberts, who are projecting themselves as the new faces of the PLP. So this is going to be quite interesting. The bench is deep in the PLP, and our tent is big. So I'm inviting all of my friends and professional pairs across the Bahamas to take a second look at the PLP because we are going to be doing some exciting things moving forward.
There's enthusiasm among the delegates and supporters of the party?
These are exciting times, and as I move around the country, I see people recovering from the defeat of May 10th and looking to the future. Bahamians love the PLP. This is the one thing that I've determined even after the defeat of May 10th. By and large, there is a great love for the PLP, its core values, and this is where we must reflect and get back to.
Thank you so very much, sir. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate it very much.
Anytime.
Good. Thank you, Godfrey Enius, and we wish you the best in your efforts to become the deputy leader.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for watching and listening to our program. Good evening, everyone.